All right, welcome everybody to Ventura College and CalTAP's webinar on California Programs and Healthcare Services. Today is October 12th, 2021. Before we start, I just want to introduce or bring Jordana Ibarra Tilayas into the conversation just to give a quick introduction and say hi to everybody, and then we'll go ahead and start with the housekeeping and agenda overview. So go ahead, Jordana, when you're ready.
Good morning. Thank you, Michael. Good morning, all of our students and all of our participants today. We're delighted to have you join us today for this exciting Lunch and Learn with CalVet and CalTAP. We have some awesome panelists here to explain to you about all the different benefits that are available to you as veterans and military families. And we're just delighted to have you here. So we've got all kinds of great information to cover today. I want to say a special thank you to our student workers and to Mimi, who are your hosts there at the VRC. So I hope you all get comfortable. We're going to have lunch after the meeting, after the information session today. And we're going to have some time at the end for you all to ask some questions. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And without further ado, I'd like to hand it back to Michael so we can get going.
All right, cool. Thank you. So she kind of broke down the housekeeping or the agenda overview for us a little bit. We'll go ahead and have speakers here today from the VA healthcare system that could talk to you a little bit about enrolling and some of the services that they provide. You'll hear from a county veteran service representative. We also have a representative here from US Vets Outside the Wire, who will talk to you a little bit about mental health issues and coping with distance learning. And we will also have a representative here from CalVet who will talk to you about claims and appeals. So it's a full agenda today with lots of information. We'll go ahead and have each individual speak for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll go into a questions and answers panel at the end where we will answer all questions that you have for those panelists. You should have received an email either yesterday, last night, or sometime this morning with the Zoom meeting information. Inside that email, there's also a couple links that you could click on. One of those links was instructions on how to use the Zoom chat feature here on this platform. By now, maybe most of you are probably familiar with this feature, but if you're not, if you're new to Zoom, take a look at it. It will let you know how to communicate with our CalTAP's question individual, Jana Adams. She is handling those questions, and she will help us out later on in the webinar with answering them. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a quick overview. My name is Michael Cisneros. I'm a CalTAP training coordinator. I've been with CalVet for almost 2 years now. What I'm gonna do today is just give you a brief overview about the CalTAP program and some of the things that are offered through CalVet and how we as a team help veterans across California. So what is CalTAP? Well, CalTAP is a transition assistance program that's designed to inform and connect veterans of all eras to their earned benefits, as well as provide continuous support and assistance as their needs change over time. And so what we've done is we've developed different pathways that help veterans navigate those benefits that are available to them. Pathways are an entrepreneurship pathway, there's an employment pathway, we have an education pathway, and there's a core curriculum pathway that focuses on benefits that don't fit into those topics that I just mentioned. We do have a service provider pathway, which we don't talk about too much on these webinars, but it is there. If you know anybody within your community or that you work with that wants to continue working with veterans, or just wants to understand a little bit more about the veteran community, they can always click on that pathway just to get more information about veteran culture, military culture, and some of the issues that veterans go through when they are transitioning into civilian life. This book is another link that you should have received in the emails either last night or this morning. This is a California Veterans Resource Book. We sent a link to the PDF copy of this book. So if this was a in-person event, usually we have one hard copy sitting in front of each individual who's attending. But since we are doing the webinars, we just direct them to the PDF version. This book, I like to say, is like gold for veterans. So if you want to know anything about what we discuss here today when it comes to California benefits, you can find that information in this book. This book basically lets you know what are the eligibility requirements for those certain benefits, the individuals who you need to speak to get that process started. It will also let you know things like forms needed for the benefits that need to be certified through veteran service representatives. So lots of information. Definitely check it out. It's an easy read as well. It's made so that you can easily navigate through the book to find whichever benefit you are looking for. So more information about our program can be found on our website. You go to calvet.ca.gov. Right there on the home screen, you can find the CalTAP banner. If you click on that link, that will take you to our modules or our pathways. Like I mentioned earlier, there's the education pathway, entrepreneurship pathway, employment pathway, and then the core curriculum pathway. And before I move on, I just want to bring your attention to the archives link down there at the bottom of the page. So the archives link is something new. Ever since we started doing the webinars last year, we have been recording them and putting them onto our website. So over the last 2 years, we've talked about everything from financial literacy, mental health, navigating distance learning. A lot of the information that we'll talk about today in this webinar, we've talked about in the past and more. So if you want to see, what we've covered so far, get that information, you can definitely check out that archives link to find the recording of that event along with the PDF copy of the PowerPoint that we used during the event. All right, so how do you use CalTAP online? You could always go to our webpage and go to the pathways and click on core curriculum pathway. That will bring you to a lessons page or modules page that gives you information about those general benefits available to you. Another thing that you can do, actually while you're in the core curriculums pathway, one of the things that we want to bring your attention to, especially for this event, is how to locate those resources that are needed. And so if you click on module 2, understanding resiliency, that will bring you to a lessons page where you can actually find information about the support services available to you. So if you're looking for CVSO contact information, I apologize, sorry about that. You can find information there through that link. I apologize, 1 second. Okay, I apologize for that. Somebody at my door right now. But module 2, understanding resilience, will help you find information about those VSOs and contact information so that you can speak with the veteran service representative at your convenience. We also have a module on VA healthcare. Module number 3 under the core curriculum pathway can take you to information regarding the VA healthcare system, as well as finding information about how to enroll and locations of the medical centers. There's also a YouTube video that's here on this page above the title that you can watch that can also help you walk through those steps. But if you're just worried about, or you're just curious about your California benefits, you could always click on module number 5. Module 5 breaks down those benefits for you and gives you more information about those specific benefits that you probably either you could find in your California resource book, or it might be more information that you won't find in the resource book. So what are those benefits? Well, this information does start on chapter 1, page 13. The first one that we have, the main one that we get a lot of questions on is the college tuition and fee waiver. This is a fee waiver that's meant for the veteran dependent, the veteran's child dependent. And so What this does is it waives tuition and fees at any state-funded school. So that's any UC, CSU, or California Community College. And it's meant for the child dependents because we want to give the veteran a chance to use their own education benefits, their GI Bill. There's 4 different plans, Plan A, B, C, and D. Most veterans do fall into Plan B because this does require a disability rating between 0 and 100. But if you have a spouse that wants to use this benefit, there is a chance. You would just have to see if you're eligible for Plan A, Plan C, or Plan D. If you are eligible for either one of those plans, then yes, you can actually give this benefit to your spouse or to your child dependent, whichever one you'd like. But for the most part, we do see most veterans fall into Plan B because of that disability rating. We have programs with the DMV that make it easier for individuals to identify as a veteran. So now you can actually get the word veteran printed on your driver's license. This just makes it so that you don't have to carry around sensitive information in your back pocket, like the information that can be found on your DD Form 214. There's also the Honoring Veterans License Plate Program, which is open to everybody in California. You do not have to be a veteran to participate in this program. This program, all proceeds for this program actually go towards veteran services here in California. So if you know anybody that wants to support the veteran community, this program is there for them. And then we also have a motor vehicle registration fee waiver for our veterans who are 100% disabled and your disability affects your mobility. If you think that you may be qualified for this program, we definitely recommend speaking with the County Veteran Service Office, and they can walk you through eligibility requirements and processes to get it started. Our outdoor activities for those individuals who like to be outdoors, there's a fishing and hunting license at a reduced annual fee. And there's also a state park pass that's offered to veterans at no cost. Both of these benefits do require a 50% disability rating and an honorable discharge. And the state park pass, you would have had to be serving during a wartime period as well. Tax programs. We do have tax programs for our disabled veterans. We don't talk too much about these only because they do differ across California. But there are programs out there for veterans who want to open up their own business or looking for property tax exemptions. What we suggest if you are interested in these programs is reaching out to your local county tax assessor, and they could go over eligibility requirements specific to that region with you. Home loans, we have a CalVet home loans program that is different than the federal VA home loans program. This program provides financing for veterans, competitive market interest rates, and it offers it requires low or no down payment payments. So we do have somebody in the CalVet department who talks about the home loans and loves giving veterans information about this program. We'll go ahead and put his information into the chat. His name is Brad Pedersen. His phone's always open. He actually encourages us to give his contact information out to any veteran we talk to who is in the market right now. So if you are in the market looking for a home here in California, we'll go ahead and put that in the chat so that you can reach out to him. And for our women veterans, we have a program that provides information, advocacy, outreach, and support. This program is also partnered with the California Women Veterans Leadership Council, just out there trying to give women veterans more opportunity within their community. You can find more information about this program on the Women Veterans webpage at calvet.ca.gov. They also have a roster that you can sign up for. So signing up on the roster will actually keep you up to date with what's going on with outreach with that division and some of the webinars and events that are going to be happening coming up. The same thing with our minority veterans. We do have a program that provides information, advocacy, outreach, and support. This program also helps our unnaturalized veterans with citizenship and naturalization services. More information can be found at the Minority and Underrepresented Veterans webpage at calvet.ca.gov. Homes for long-term care. So many of you probably aren't thinking about this right now. However, if you have anybody within your family or within your community that is looking for services like this, the VA or CalVet does have homes that offer medical, dental, pharmacy, rehabilitation, and social activities. 8 different locations across California, all the way down in Chula Vista, from Chula Vista to Redding up north, and offer different services depending on where you're going to live. State cemeteries, again, probably something that you're not thinking about right now. However, if you know anybody that is looking for services like this, there are 3 different state cemeteries in California. These are different than the federal VA cemeteries. So we have one in Seaside, California, which is right outside of Monterey. There's one in Redding, California. And then the Yountville Cemetery, Veteran Cemetery, which is part of the Yountville Veterans Home. So in order to be buried at that one, you do have to be a resident at the Yountville Veterans Home. If that's not the situation, then you do have the other 2 to choose from. All right, and before we go ahead and pass it on to our next speaker, I just want to bring your attention to some common websites that we think you should be familiar with as a veteran in California. The first website is VA.gov. I like to think of VA.gov as a hub for veterans. So if you are looking for information regarding the VA healthcare system, claims and compensation or disability, education benefits, or even just trying to check out your records, you could always go to VA.gov and it will direct you to where you should go to get that information. There's also Ebenefits. Ebenefits is a cool website if you are taking advantage of, education benefits or disability compensation. What you can do on this website is you can fill out those applications. You could actually view whether or not, if you are going to school, have they certified your classes and have they paid for your classes? If you are going to school, are you getting your BAH check every month, and have they already sent that out? So this is a website where you can kind of find that information and understand what's going on with your benefits at that time. And then there's finally MyHealthyVet. I like MyHealthyVet. It's a cool website if you are taking advantage of the VA healthcare system. On this website, you can actually view your health records, communicate with your primary care physician and set up appointments with them. And you can also refill your prescriptions. So it's a pretty helpful website. All right, so one of the things that we are trying to do is we're just trying to connect with the veteran community here in California and continue offering them services and webinars and information that they can use as they transition into the civilian life. So if you are curious to see, what's coming up next with our division, or what kind of events are going to be happening next, you can always provide your non-DoD email to caltap@calvet.ca.gov, and we can keep in contact with you with what's going on. Or you can fill out a post-webinar survey. That webinar survey was actually sent out to all of you guys at the start of this webinar. So you should see a link in your email. We'll also post a link in the chat later on. But this webinar, besides, capturing your email address if you wanted to add it so that we could keep in contact with you, it's also going to let us know what we did well today and what we could work on for future events. So it's good information for us to have, and just to kind of keep us on our game. Or you can simply just register at calvet.ca.gov under the MyCalvet, and that can also keep you up to date with what's going on. And also we have a Facebook page. You'll find a QR code at the end of all of the training coordinators sections to where you can actually get to that page. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you for listening to this quick overview. I know there's a lot of information. Like I said, most of that information can be found in your resource book, or you can simply just reach out to me. That's my email address. Once I get an email, I'll go ahead and answer it. And if I can't answer it, I will direct you to somebody who can. So thank you again. And now I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Anthony Rodriguez. Anthony is a local interagency network coordinator with CalVet, and he's going to explain to you how he works with veterans and what they do across California. So when you're ready, go ahead, Anthony.
Well, thank you very much. What a pleasure to be here. So happy that we're having this event, particularly in Ventura County. Shout out to Jordana, right on. And I'd like to share with you what I do with CalVet, and then I'll turn it over to these distinguished guests. So first of all, as you can see on the screen, that my name is Anthony Rodriguez, and I'm a local interagency network coordinator. Next page. That's kind of a fancy name for saying that I am the regional field agent. And as such, I'm one of 8 individuals throughout the state of California who have been hired to actually live in the area where they work and to be experts not only in the CalVet veteran benefits arena, but also locally regarding the various benefits services that are needed in the areas. So as you can see on this map, we have 8 individuals. We have someone in the San Diego Imperial County area, someone in Orange County. We have someone along the Inland Empire area going all the way up to Mono County. We have someone in the Central Valley of California, someone on the Central Coast, the Bay Area, and in Northern California. So on this chart that you could see, there's the name of the individual as well as their contact information. And should you need to help anyone in another area, you're welcome to take this information and contact them, and they'll be able to help you just as I would if you were here locally. Next page. Now, as a link or as a regional field agent, what I do is provide outreach to various service members, that is active duty members who are about to separate, reservists, National Guard. I also spend quite a bit of time with veteran organizations, nonprofits, government agencies, where I tell them about what CalVet does. I tell them how they can help their employees or how they can help veterans that they're serving. I make referrals to various agencies that I know. I try to be as faithful as I can to attend a lot of the collaboratives, associations, meetings, steering committees, and so on, so that I know exactly what's going on and I can make a person-to-person connection rather than give someone over an 800 number or link. Additionally, when there are local emergencies, I am contacted by the State Office of Emergency Services, and I'm activated to be the representative for veterans in this part of the state. So I really try to be someone that's available to the entire county. And because there's only one of myself, I have to kind of fly at 30,000 feet and look around and get to know all the different pieces, and also take a lot of calls and help individuals as they come, contact me. Next page, please. So specifically, I can help with employment, as I know many people that have EDD and other national contracts, as well as private contracts and private contractors like Salvation Army and US Vets and JVS, as well as I work with the County Veteran Service Office and the VA. Have lots of contacts there, and I can help you connect to anyone that you need as well. I'm excited to be able to turn over the presentation to the new County Veteran Service Office of Ventura County, Jim McHugh. He has long been anticipated, and looking forward to have him. This is my contact information. That is my cell number where you can contact me directly, and my email address, and give me a call if I can help in any way. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jim. Jim, welcome aboard. Thank you for being here. We look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Well, thanks, Anthony. It's great to be here, and this is a real honor to be able to participate in a program like this. This is outstanding. As it says there, I'm the Ventura County's Veteran Services Officer, and we're located here in Oxnard at 2901 North Ventura Road, just near the collection. So, and we're on the 3rd floor of the building, and our offices are open. So you can walk right in, but if you want to really see a claims officer, it's best to call our office and make an appointment. Contact information will be at the end of the presentation. Next slide, please. So for filing VA claims and everything, there's many different organizations you can go through to do that. Obviously, you could go right to the federal and work with the VA themselves, or you could go through CalVet. CalVet's able to help you file claims, or a county veteran services office like I have here. We're able to work on your claims and help you with filing. And there are also some nonprofits out there, DAV and so forth, that can file claims for you also. Next slide. But first, let's talk a little brief overview of the VA itself. It's got 3 pillars. There's the Veterans Health Administration, and that's pretty much, as it says, they run the large healthcare organization that the VA has. They work with your health benefits, pharmacies, clinics. We've got a veterans clinic, outpatient clinic here in Oxnard. A new one is being built in Ventura. That should be opening in the summer of 22. So that will be great. The next pillar is the Veterans Benefits Administration. This is group is really where you handle all the disability compensation claims. Also, your education benefits are out of here, home loans, insurance, and job-related vocational rehab, veteran readiness employment programs are run out of the Veterans Benefit Administration. Third pillar there is the National Cemetery Administration. They run all the national cemeteries in the country except for Arlington. Arlington is run by the Department of Defense. But through this administration is where you will get your burial benefits handled. Headstone markers, requests are sent there, presidential certificates, and other kind of gravesite locators, and all the burial benefits are handled there. And then there's CalVet. Michael went over a lot of the programs that CalVet has to offer. They're listed there, and they also can help you obviously with the state programs, but as well as the federal ones from the VA. Next slide. So what do we do as a county veteran service officers? We are here as your advocate. We're the advocates for the veterans in the county. I have 7 accredited veterans claims officers accredited by the VA, 8 if you include myself, and we're there to help the veteran, provide counsel, to help assist them in filing their claims with the VA. The VA claims are also some of the state benefits also we can help with. You can see there over in 2020, the amount of money that the claims have brought in, over 54 million new or federal benefits coming into the state. That's money into the veterans' pockets. It's a great benefit. Just to give you an example of what we've done at the county here since for the first 6 months of the year, from January to June, we filed over 892 benefit claims, and that generated over $2.3 million in retro payment, back payment. I'll talk a little more about retro payment in a minute. And also it produced over $297,000 in monthly payments for veterans. Again, that's money in veterans' pockets. That's also money into the community. So we are here to help assist the veterans in getting those claims. Next slide, please. So here's a list of really types of assistance that we can provide. I talked about benefit counseling. We can talk to you and figure out what benefits you're eligible for, what ones you can claim, claims and compensation. That's talking with getting service-connected disability claims. We can network with different organizations within the county that have maybe some services that you are looking for. Other benefits such as pension, life insurance, we can assist VA pension and VA life insurances, help you with that. If you're looking for some records, if you don't have your DD-214 or you're looking for some other military record, we can help file that form for you to get those records, have them come out of the archives. Other death kind of benefits for surviving spouses or dependents, that's the dependency indemnity compensation. DIC, we can work with you all in filing those kind of claims. If there's a discharge upgrade you're looking for, we can assist in the process for that. And also the college fee waiver, as Michael talked about, that is a great program. Those applications come to our office. We're the ones that verify those and grant those and send you the letter giving you that benefit, and also to the university that you have applied to or been accepted at. That is such a wonderful benefit that everyone should be able to take advantage of if you are eligible for it. And then the veterans designation, that is us verifying that you are a veteran, so you can get that designation on your driver's license, or if you apply for a disability license plate, we verify that on the DMV form, and then that form will hand it back to you, and you can go to the DMV and get that designation on your license plate, or you can on your driver's license, or you can get the disability license plate. Next slide. So we talked a little about service-connected disability. What is a service-connected disability? Well, as it says there, that's something that happened, an injury, an illness, you were exposed to something, a disease during the time you were in the military service. Maybe you came in with an issue, and as a result of your military service, it got aggravated. That can also be considered a service-connected disability. However, you got to make sure that these disabilities is a chronic in nature and is current. So let's make sure that's one of the requirements there. So, for example, if you were in the service and you broke your arm, and it's all healed, everything's doing fine, there's no residuals from that broken arm, then that probably won't be a service-connected disability. Next slide, we'll talk about what's required. So to have a service-connected disability, we really need three things. You need to have an event that happened in your military service. The event could be an injury, a disease, you were exposed to something, or it could be something as a result of the job that you had. For example, let's say you were in the Army and you worked on tanks all the time, and you were jumping on and off the tanks doing your job, and over time you injured your knee, or your knee started going bad. That could be the event, the work that you were doing causing that injury. Or another example is you were an aircraft mechanic working around the high noises of aircraft, and now you're having hearing problems. That would be another event that can help with the service connection. The condition has to be current, meaning that you have to have been treated and seen by a doctor for within the past 12 months of it, and documented. Then there needs to be a nexus. What's the link between your current condition and your military service? Now, these nexus and these determination of service connection, we don't make those. That is done by the VA. Just to clarify, we are not VA employees, we're county employees. So we help you put these claims together, and it's the VA that will take all this information and make the determination whether it's a service-connected disability or not. So next slide. How do we do this? What is the process when you want to deal with us? Well, first thing is, as I said, give us a call, make an appointment. To get a claim done, it's going to probably take about at least 2 appointments. Because the first time you're going to come in, we're going to talk to you. We're going to talk about your service, talk about what issues you have, what's going on, what are your complaints, and do you have this thing or that thing? For Vietnam vets, there's the whole Agent Orange issue, and do you have certain results of that? Then we'll determine, okay, well, that you might have a claim that you want to file. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to file what's called an intent to file form. This is a form that we fill out, and we're basically telling the VA, hey, this vet is going to file a claim. And we send that into the VA, and that is, once they receive that, the date they receive that, they hold that date. That is the date that's going to be used as your effective date for your claim. Now you've got a year from when you submit that intent to file for the claim to be filed. So we send in that ITF. I'll let you know, hey, we need to get some evidence. We maybe need to get some medical records. You may need to get some statements from some buddies about whatever issues you've gone through. Maybe you need some private medical records. Make sure you have your DD-214. We have to have that sent in when we send that intent to file, if that's not already with the VA. And once we've gathered all the evidence that's needed, make another appointment and talk to the claims officer, and then we'll fill out the form, file the claim with that evidence. And then once the claim is in with the VA, the next thing you can probably expect you'll get is a notification for a compensation exam, whether it could be a letter, a text, depending on what company is doing the exam. And these are very important that you attend these examinations. This is where they're going to look at the issues that you are claiming, whether it's a shoulder problem, a heart issue, joint, or whatever it is. That's going to be examined during this exam by a doctor, who will then file a report, which will then again be used, used for the determination on whether, yes, this is a service-connected condition. After that, then it's pretty much, as a lot of time we're used to in the military, hurry up and wait. Claims right now we're seeing are taking between 6 to 12 months to get adjudicated, and that depends on how complex the claim is, and if they need other information to make the determination. But once the claim is determined, and let's say it's awarded, then you will, this is where the retro payment comes in. Once they determine what the percentage of disability you are, that equals dollars. And then that they will backdate the amount they owe you to that date they got the intent to file. That could be 6 months, it could be 12 months away. So you could end up getting 6 months or 12 months or whatever number of months of a lump sum right away. That's called a retro payment. And then your monthly payments will be starting after that. And all these VA compensation payments are tax-free. So that's a thing to keep in mind too. And there's no age limit. There's no determination. You can always file a claim. We could, if something is getting worse, we can try to do increases. But we're here to help make this process as easy as possible. Certainly, you can do it on your own. You can go to the VA website and do it, and it's there. But we're here to help you maybe think of something else that you didn't look at, maybe didn't consider, and make sure the forms are filed correctly so there's not any kind of delay because of that. Next slide. Well, to be eligible for VA benefits, you have to have a discharge that is under conditions other than dishonorable. And sometimes there are folks that have a discharge that they aren't happy with. Or if you have a discharge, if you're just trying to upgrade your discharge for VA benefits, sometimes the VA can do a character discharge determination. This is for discharges that are uncharacterized or other than honorable, or bad conduct discharge as a result of a special court martial. They'll look at what caused of that discharge determination and might determine, okay, it was honorable in the sense for VA benefits. That, however, will not change the status of your discharge. Your discharge still will be an OTH or a bad conduct or whatever, but they may determine as a result of one thing or another, but it is honorable enough for VA benefits. The other way is actually going to the service to do a discharge upgrade, where you want to have it actually changed. That could be done through a discharge review board, where they can upgrade the characterization of your service, except for anything done by a general court martial. And there's a 15-year status of limitations on that from your date of discharge. And then if as a result of the discharge review board you're not happy, there's another place you could go, the Board of Corrections for Military Records, which could you can probably appeal that discharge review board if it didn't find in your favor that you want. These websites up here, there's an assessment there that you can go through, and they also provide instructions on how to process a discharge upgrade if that's something that you're looking for, and some of the information you may need to help work your case on that. There's also legal advice available if needed for for the discharge upgrade process. Next slide. So if you're not in Ventura County, or you're from somewhere else, where do you find your Veteran Service Office? It's in this resource book that was Michael mentioned. Lists all the counties, lists all the locations of the Veteran Services Office, and you can find it there, or we can go to the next slide. You can also go on to the CalVet website. There's a link right up there, find your service provider, and you can click on that and you can go to the next slide, where you can then enter in your zip code and find out the information there. And then finally, on the next slide, you can call this number too if you want to, and let them know your location and find out where the nearest Veteran Service Office is for you. But so in summary, the Veteran Service Office in any county is there to support the veteran. We are here to advocate for you, advocate for the dependents, and help you file your claims, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You should never have to pay to get your a benefit claim form filed. It's available to do it for free. We are there to help you. There's our address, my contact information, and the phone number of the office there. So if you want to stop by, you got any questions, concerns, or you want to file a claim, or just ask about what you're eligible for, give us a call, set up an appointment. I've got my folks here. Like I said, our office is open now, and we'll be able to come in, and we'll be glad to help you out. So with that, that's all I have. I think our next speaker, I got Alberto Abazan from our CalVet. He's the Los Angeles District Manager, and glad to have him here. Alberto.
Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate the warm introduction. So I'm glad to be here. And like what Mr. McHugh said, my name is Alberto Alpasan. I'm the district manager for CalVet, our Veteran Services Division in Los Angeles. Because our state is so big, we had, the VA and CalVet had to divide the state into 3 regions, Northern California. So we have our Oakland Regional Office. They're co-located with the Oakland Regional Office. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm co-located at the Los Angeles Regional Office, and my counterpart in San Diego is co-located with the San Diego Regional Office. Next slide, please. Okay, for this morning, I just want to provide a general overview about what service connection is, definitions and the legal definitions according to the VA, and what principles that needs to be addressed before the VA can grant service connection. Mr. McHugh provided an overview earlier today, but we'll kind of dig deeper into that. And what's the process? And what can you expect when you submit a claim either by yourself or through the services of the County Veteran Service Office? Then this is something not new, but the VA wants to standardize everything. So everything has to be in a prescribed form for the VA to consider the claim. So, we'll discuss what the prescribed forms are. And lastly, how do you file a claim? Where do you go? Who do you see for the claim to be submitted? Next slide, please. Okay, so as the name suggests, service-connected disabilities are disabilities that were incurred in active duty. And we have different theories of service connection, but basically the gist there is that this disability that you have right now had its onset while you were in active duty. These disabilities are assessed and are granted using a schedule of evaluations, a percentage. So these aren't just arbitrarily assigned. There is an entire list of certain disabilities and what symptomatology that are presented and assessed by the VA for them to assign a certain percentage. So this goes from 0% to 100%. And like what was earlier discussed, there is no statute of limitation when filing a claim. World War II veterans can file a claim today. So there's no limit to when you can file a service-connected disability. These are tax-free monetary benefits, and it's not income-based. Now, the rate, the dollar amount, is published yearly by the VA. So I would encourage you to go to the VA website, go to their rate tables, and see what the most current rates are for each percentage. There are additional benefits afforded to the veteran for a dependent spouse, dependent children, whether these are biological stepchildren or adopted children, school children who have aged out, after age 18, but are still in school up until age 23. Helpless children, they will remain in the VA, the Veterans Award, because they are helpless. They are in need of assistance by another person because of mental or physical needs. And additional dependent parents, these can be added to the Veterans Award. Next slide, please. Okay, under Title 38, Code of Federal Regulations, Part 3, there are 3 principles of service connection. One is direct service connection, and that's where your current disability now is due to something that happened to you in active duty. Let's say you were diagnosed with a heart condition when you were in active duty, and you still carry the same diagnosis now. And a doctor can say, yes, this is the same disability that you had while in active duty. The VA can grant service connection based on direct service connection. Aggravation. So this is when you got in with a very minor disability, let's say pes planus or flat feet, asymptomatic, but you were diagnosed. So you were allowed into active duty, but throughout the course of your active duty, the flat foot condition was aggravated. So what the VA will do is they'll assess what your current disability is, and if possible, they'll assess your disability when you entered military service. And whatever the difference is, that's what the VA will grant based on aggravation. Presumption, this is where the VA will concede that the reason for your condition now was because of an event that happened when you were in active duty. Best example would be Vietnam War era veterans who were exposed to Agent Orange. Although, let's say diabetes mellitus is diagnosed today, the VA will concede that's because of exposure to Agent Orange while you were in active duty in Vietnam. Although there won't be any service medical records that would indicate that you had diabetes mellitus in the past. Next slide, please. Okay, under Title 38, 3.03A, this particular statute only requires that, or states that service-connected disability means that this current disability was incurred while the veteran was in active duty. Next slide, please. Okay. Aggravation, again, like what I explained earlier, when a disability is assessed, or there's a pre-existing disability that was asymptomatic when you got in, it wasn't indicated in your entrance physical, but throughout the years while you were in active duty, it got to a point where it's the symptoms are just so bad that it will be indicated in your exit physical. So what the VA will do is they'll do an assessment of your entrance and what the condition is, how the condition is right now, and assess if the condition was indeed aggravated while you were in active duty. Next slide. Okay. 3.307, basically presumption of any condition. So there's different conditions that the VA will concede on. One of something that I want to correct that may have been misinterpreted is that not all conditions that show up after a year of discharge can be service connected. There's only certain chronic disabilities that, if it manifests to a compensable degree within 12 months of a veteran's permanent discharge, these will be service connected. One of those would be a mental health condition. Even if the mental health condition was not diagnosed when the veteran was in active duty, if it manifests to a degree and diagnosed within 12 months of a veteran's permanent discharge, then this condition can be service connected or may be service connected. Then this also discusses Camp Lejeune cases, and of course, this also covers the Agent Orange related conditions when for veterans who are in Vietnam. Next slide, please. Okay, there are different types of claims, and this is just for the VA to identify what type of claim that is. So if a veteran has never filed a disability claim in the past, even though a veteran has received educational benefits, the GI Bill, or a veteran has had a home loan guarantee in the past, if a veteran has never filed a disability claim, the claim is still considered as an original claim. Then we'll have claims for increase, reopened claims. These are for veterans who have already filed a claim and may have already been service connected, but would want to increase the evaluation of the condition that they have. And new issues. So if you've submitted a claim in the past, service connected already, you can add to your list, whether it's something that's related to your service connected disability or something brand new that you've never filed a claim before. Next slide, please. Okay. Because of the Appeals Modernization Act of 2019, the VA now has classified these claims as either original, supplemental claims, or higher level review claims. So supplemental claims are for those veterans who may have submitted claims in the past, and these conditions were, these issues were denied in the past. The VA will accept a supplemental claim from veterans who've had these denials in the past, as long as you have new and relevant evidence to quote unquote reopen the claim. So you can't just submit a claim to address a previously denied condition. You must have evidence to support your contention to address the denial. Higher level review, this is to address a VA decision that was made in the past 12 months to either question an error in fact or an error in law. This means there has to have been an error made by the VA when making that decision to either deny, or maybe they granted an evaluation, a percentage that you don't agree with. To address that, you can submit a higher level review as long as you identify that there was an error made. So like I mentioned, error in fact is something that the VA adjudicator may have overlooked when adjudicating the claim. That's very pertinent to the claim. Or an error in law, where a VA adjudicator may have interpreted the law incorrectly and needs to be corrected. This higher level review is a closed record review, so you can't add to the record. You can't submit additional evidence to support your contention. This is simply asking the VA to take a second look at that previous denial or decision and re-adjudicate. Next slide, please. Okay, original claims these are the prescribed forms, by the way. So for an original claim or a claim for increase or a new disability, you have to use a VA form 21526EZ. And these forms, they're all available in the VA website. Or to make it easier, I would highly encourage those folks that want to file claims to visit a veteran service office so that they can give you guidance and assist you in the claims process. Next slide, please. So this is what the form looks like. This is just the first page, but if you go to the VA website, you can download a copy of this. Make sure you look at the very bottom left hand corner to make sure that you have the most current version of the form. Next slide, please. Supplemental claims. So as of 2/19/2019, if you want the VA to take a second look or reopen, quote unquote, reopen a claim that was previously denied, this form is the form that you need to use. So it's a 200995. This has to be supplemented by new and relevant evidence if you're submitting a supplemental claim. Now, these new and relevant evidence, this could be current treatment records that you have from the VA or your private provider, but the VA will not consider the supplemental claim if you don't have new and relevant evidence to submit along with the form. Next slide, please. And this is what the form looks like. So in this form, it's very important to note what the issues are and the date that the VA notified you about the denial or the decision. So make sure that when you're completing a form like this, that whatever issue you want to be addressed, it needs to be indicated here in this form under Part 3. Next slide, please. A higher level review. Again, this is a review of records. So the VA will not accept new evidence when requesting for a higher level review. The form to use is a VA form 200996. Again, available on the VA website, or if you visit the Veteran Service Office. Next slide, please. And again, this is what the form looks like. In the higher level review request, you can ask for what's called an informal conference. This isn't a formal hearing, but this is just an opportunity for the applicant or a veteran service representative to discuss the issues that is presented. So it's either presenting them with an error in fact or law. So again, this isn't an opportunity to provide oral testimony. This is just to kind of identify and point out any errors that the VA made. Next slide, please. Okay, that's what Mr. McHugh discussed earlier. When the VA receives a claim, sometimes there is development work that's needed. So let's say for an original claim, if you submitted 21526EZ and you indicated that you have private medical records, the VA has a responsibility to assist claimants to retrieve these records. So as long as you identify where the records are, who the provider is, they'll go ahead and assist you by reaching out to this provider and getting the records for them to adjudicate. In certain cases, a compensation and pension examination is required, and that's part of their duty to assist, is to schedule and evaluate a veteran for the disabilities that they're claiming for. Once the results are in and all of the outstanding medical records are retrieved, then it goes to a rating veteran service representative who will sit down, assess all the records, all the results, to make a decision on three things. Basically, service connection, the evaluation, the percentage, and the effective date. And these are all based on current regulation that is published. And then once the decision is made, it's the VA's responsibility to notify the claimants about what the decision was. So the outcome of the decision needs to be sent out in an official notification letter to the claimant. Next slide, please. Okay, additional benefits. So veterans with a combined evaluation of 30% or more can add their dependents to his or her award. So the minimum would be 30%. Anything lower than 30%, veterans are not able to add dependents. Veterans who are deemed unemployable, not unemployed, but unemployable because of service-connected disabilities can apply for what's called individual unemployability. The requirements are the veteran must have at least 60%. If you only have one condition, one service-connected condition, it has to be at least 60%. Or if you have more than one condition that's service-connected, it has to be at least 70% combined, with at least one of those conditions must be 40%. And the basic gist here is that these service-connected disabilities are causing the veteran to be unemployable. Veterans with a dependent child who has a permanent incapacity for self-support will be deemed as a helpless child for VA purposes, and this helpless child will remain in the veteran's award, will be there permanently. If a veteran or the veteran's spouse is in need of aid and attendance of another person, then the VA can grant special monthly compensation based on aid and attendance. Now, there are certain requirements for veterans that the VA needs to see, and one of those requirements is the veteran must have at least a single 100% service-connected disability. And based on facts found, the veteran must be in need of aid and attendance of another person in basic activities of daily living, to include eating, bathing, dressing, and these has to be documented in medical records. For a veteran spouse, same requirements. There has to be a need for the spouse for aid and attendance of another person for basic activities of daily living. Next slide, please. Okay. In Mr. McHugh's slide, he details about submitting an ITF. I highly recommend that. So submit an intent to file so you can lock in the date. That is your placeholder in time and gives you a 12-month window to gather everything to submit a well put together packet for your claim. So what are the records that you need? Any current or historic medical records that support your claim. So if you're claiming for, let's say, diabetes mellitus, then the medical records that you're submitting must pertain to your diabetes mellitus and nothing else. If you're submitting a claim for multiple conditions, then yes, submit as much medical documentation to show that, first of all, you have the condition. And if you have a doctor that can provide a statement saying that it is in his or her medical professional opinion, these conditions are related to this claimant's active military service, they'll strengthen your claim. You have to put everything in a prescribed form, either a VA form 21526EZ or a 200995 or 00996. Complete the required form, the prescribed form, and mark everything that is pertinent. And as much as possible, don't leave any of the items blank. Now, submitting the claims, you can submit the claim directly to the VA. They have an evidence intake center in Janesville, Wisconsin, or you can report to your nearest VA regional office, either Oakland, Los Angeles, or San Diego, or better yet, which I recommend, is to visit your nearest VA County Veteran Service office, and they'll provide you with assistance in submitting these claims. And then once the claim is submitted, the VA will have to acknowledge receipt of the claim, and if needed, the VA will reach out, or the contractor will reach out and schedule you for a VA medical examination. After the examination is done, we'll have to wait for the decision. Now, the promised dates for these claims are for the higher level review, new claims, original claims. The VA is promising 125 days. Sometimes they don't meet that deadline because of certain conditions, like if the claim is complex and requires specialists to do the exam, then sometimes that delays the claim a little bit. But in general, they should be able to complete the claim in 125 days or less. Next slide, please. Okay. This is the link for the forms, but again, if you're seeking the assistance of a veteran service office, a county veteran service office, then they will have these claims available for you. As I mentioned earlier, intents to file are a great tool. This will give you a 12-month window to gather all the evidence that you need in completing your claim. And if you need a status of your claim, you can call the VA's 1-800 number listed here, your county veteran service office, or any veteran service organization that you're associated with. Next slide, please. Okay. If you're submitting a claim on your own, this is the address to which you need to send your claim or fax it to this number. But again, my recommendation is for claims management purposes is to seek assistance with a veteran service organization, your county veteran service office, or a veteran service organization that you're associated with. Next slide, please. Okay, so you filed a claim, you submitted a claim, and waited for the decision. Unfortunately, the decision was a denial. What do you do next? Well, VA has a very structured appeals process if you don't agree with the decision that they made. Next slide, please. And we'll discuss what the appeals process is, what it looks like, what can you appeal, deadlines, timelines that you need to be cognizant about, prescribed forms again, and where to submit your appeal. Next slide. Okay. Back prior to 2019, for VA purposes, an appeal is a timely notice of disagreement and a timely substantive appeal after a statement of the case is received. So these definitions were changed effective 2019 due to the Appeals Modernization Act. Next slide, please. I'm not sure if you can see the graphic here, but this is a flow chart of what to expect when you file an appeal back in the legacy days. So as you can see, there's a lot of processes that the VA needs to make, particularly in the appeals team at the VA regional office. There's a lot of administrative work that they need to do. They need to certify the appeal, and prior to certification, they need to make sure that the notice of disagreement is timely. They furnish a statement of the case. They ask the applicant if they want a decision review officer hearing or not. So the process is lengthy, and the process is open to a lot of there's a lot of pitfalls there that applicants can fall into, which will basically terminate their appeal. But all of that has been changed now, and let's go to the next slide, please. So a simpler graphic of what to expect when you file an appeal. You submit your notice of disagreement after receiving the decision by the VA. You choose if you want to use a decision review officer to review your appeal or do a traditional appeal. Then if you do a decision review officer appeal, you are there is a hearing available if you choose to. And after the hearing is done, after the review is done, if the decision review officer continues the denial, then he or she would need to write a statement of the case. This is a VA document which outlines the decision, what references they used to continue the denial, and then a short discussion about the case on why they can't grant the appeal. Then the applicant is expected to submit a timely VA Form 9 within 60 days of the date of the statement of the case in order to keep that appeal alive. And then once the VA form is received, the appeal is certified. It goes up to the Board of Veterans Appeals in Washington, D.C., where it goes into a docket, sort of like a waiting line for a judge to pick it up and make a decision on the case. Now, if a hearing is requested, then that'll further delay the appeal because you need to be scheduled for a hearing now, and the BVA will not be able to render a decision until and when a hearing is completed. And then you get a BVA decision. This whole process takes around 5 to 7 years to complete. Next slide, please. Okay. Under the Appeals Modernization Act of 2019 and enacted into law in 2019, this modernizes the appeals process that I showed you earlier. Applicants are given more options. What's important to note here in the appeals process is that when you file a notice of disagreement, it goes straight to the board. It doesn't have to be kept by the regional office appeals team to work on any administrative issues that they need to complete. It goes straight to the board. The Board of Veterans Appeals has jurisdiction of the case once it's accepted. And the AMA Appeals Modernization Act, it also provides different lanes for applicants when the appeal is up to the Board of Veterans Appeals. So one is a direct review, one is evidence submission, and the other one is a hearing. So we'll discuss that in future slides. Next slide, please. Now, the definition of an appeal has changed since the law was enacted. Now, the only thing that is required for an appeal to be an appeal is a timely notice of disagreement. You can notice that the timeliness remains the same. So an appeal has to be submitted and received by the board within 12 months of the decision that you're appealing. Outside of that 12-month window, you're no longer able to appeal that, but you're able to reopen it with a supplemental claim. Next slide, please. So in this graphic, a lot simpler, a lot more, it's more concise. So the supplemental claims and higher level reviews, they're all under the Veterans Benefits Administration, and only notices of disagreement falls under the Board of Veterans Appeals. So it goes straight to the board. The board will make a decision based on whatever lane the applicant chooses. Next slide, please. So we've discussed this in the claims process. So we'll focus on the appeal. So once an appeal is received at the board, there are choices on which lanes to choose. So direct review, there's no other evidence to submit. You're not requesting for a hearing. You just want the judge, the Veterans Law judge, to render a decision based on the evidence of record. And this usually takes around 12 months. The evidence submission lane is when you submit a notice of disagreement, but you know you have additional evidence that you can submit. This lane gives you 90 days from the date that the BVA received the notice of disagreement to submit additional evidence. And again, this usually takes about 12 months. Now for the hearing lane, what you're requesting is you want a face-to-face discussion with the judge, either through a virtual hearing, a video hearing at the regional office, or with a travel board hearing where the judges fly down to Los Angeles and you can discuss your appeal with the judge face to face. Next slide, please. Okay. Any adjudicative action that the VA made for eligibility of a benefit is appealable. So anything from service-connected to non-service-connected disability claims, dependency, character of discharge determination. So the VA will make a decision as to whether or not they can accept the character of discharge. Now, as what Mr. McHugh said, you have a chance to provide your contentions about your character of discharge by submitting additional evidence saying that the reason for your denial was your character of discharge was because of maybe an underlying mental health condition. So the VA will have to make a determination on whether or not that condition warrants, or that claim warrants, not a character of discharge upgrade, but an an administrative decision from the VA to allow that veteran to receive VA benefits. Death benefits, education benefits to include voc rehab. These are all appealable decisions. Next slide, please. Okay, appeals timeline. The timeline has never changed. So it's always 1 year from the date that the VA notifies you of the decision. So my recommendation is, not to wait that whole 12 months. If you want to appeal a decision, you can discuss with your service officer, you can discuss with your representative, but there has to be some action taken within 12 months of a decision. Next slide, please. So this is the new notice of disagreement form. It's a VA form 10182. And as you notice here under part 2, you have an option to choose which lane to use in asking the BVA to make a decision on your appeal. And then under part 3, the specific issues that you want to appeal, whether it's the evaluation of a condition, they rated you with 0% hearing loss, but the hearing loss is so profound that it warrants a higher evaluation. So you just have to detail that under part A. and then the date of the decision. So that's the date of the notification that about that decision. So you have to indicate that so that it's easy to see that you're appealing something that was decided less than 12 months ago. And of course, sign and date the form before it's submitted. Next slide, please. This is the Board of Veterans Appeals address and their fax number. But again, these notices of disagreement are timely documents, time sensitive, I mean. So I would highly recommend, seeking assistance with a veteran service organization through your veterans county veteran service office. Next slide, please. Okay, direct review, like I mentioned earlier, this is basically asking the judge to render a decision. No evidence, no hearing. Next slide, please. Evidence lane, there is an opportunity to submit additional evidence within 90 days from the BVA's receipt of the appeal. Next slide, please. Hearing lane, the only thing added here is that the BVA needs to schedule a hearing before a decision is made. Next slide, please. This is a graphic from early this year. It just demonstrates how much their inventory is, but every day this inventory is dropping down. So they've made leaps and bounds to address the older appeals as well as the new appeals that are being presented to them. And next slide, please. Okay, thank you so much. And I will turn it back now to Ms. Saunders. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, thank you, Alberto. Great information. And I think I can't stress this enough, what he said. If you are looking to file a claim or deal with a appeals process, please reach out to your closest veteran service representative. They're the ones that can help you out with this process and hold your hand through it to make sure it's done right. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead now and pass it on to Nicole Souders. Nicole is with US Vets Outside the Wire, and she's going to talk to you today a little bit about mental health and navigating distance learning. So when you're ready, Nicole, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Michael. I was going to say if we could go to the first slide, please. Okay, so welcome to the added mental health portion of today's presentation. I know that you've already gotten a ton of extremely important and valuable information. So I kind of want to see if there's a way I can tie as a gentle reminder of all the things I'm sure many of us have been going through, specifically our veterans, and our veterans who are in school, whether that is just getting certifications, units, community college, Cal States, UCs, private, you name it. There's a lot of things to factor in just in what's going on since 2020. So I'm going to begin with just a little bit of an update reminder. So what challenges arose for all student veterans amid the global pandemic? I recognize that we're still in it, so to speak. And although some colleges and universities and different buildings have opened up, there's still a lot of difficulties, but it also has impacted our veterans. So I want to acknowledge that. One of the main things to recognize is that, let's see, on the last section, it says there is uncertainty if the VA will pay for my benefits if my school changes from a standard grade ABC to a pass or fail due to COVID-19. I know that there have been a lot of discrepancies and difficulties with remote classes, and I've also heard from a lot of my veterans who are currently attending college that certain professors might say this is a requirement, this is a software that you need for it. However, they're not given these information and specialties until they're already several weeks into the class. I know there's certain programs and software that are not compatible with other things. So just kind of keeping note that if something like this has happened to you or does happen to you, to please speak with your Veteran Resource Center. Those staff at the Veteran Resource Center in your college can help support you. Do not feel too discouraged if it's not supporting you. This is something that does need to be addressed and supported. So I wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that. If we could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So the reality of distance learning, if you haven't already recognized it, just want to let you know, it's impacted us mentally, physically, and emotionally. You add everything in your daily schedule before a global pandemic happened, and life was busy. You're driving, you're going to work, you're going to school, you have a family, you have friends, you have social, professional, personal things going on. And then we have all of these laws and regulations that are keeping us, for our health, at home. And how do we manage that? How do we become flexible? So it's really important to recognize this third point here, that we have become more isolated and sheltered from others despite the advances in our technology. So yes, it's amazing that we can do school remote. We can do meetings and webinars like this across an entire state. If not further, if someone wanted to join us, but we don't have that luxury of being in person. And although it's been helpful, it may not be completely helpful over time. If we could go to the next slide, please. So if I'm having difficulty adjusting to distance learning, could this be adding to any stress I'm having? Absolutely. First, let's identify what stress is. A lot of times we'll say, I'm so stressed out. Oh my gosh, I'm having such a stressful week. But let's break it down. Stress is our human body reaction to any change that requires an adjustment or a response. So even if it's something that's planned ahead of time that we're aware of down the schedule, it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy. It can be difficult. It can be anxiety provoking. It could create a level of social anxiety. It could create a level of pressure or intimidation because we have been isolated or we've lowered our ability to go out into certain situations and our routines are very different. One of the other things to ask yourself is, does this apply to me since transitioning from in-person courses to remote learning? Or if you tried going to school remote, or maybe this is your first semester back in school and you transitioned back into everyday life outside of the military, this is already a difficult adjustment for you. So this is much difficult. If yes, you're not alone, and if no, that's okay, but I'd like you to maybe see if there's something else in this presentation that you connect with. So if right now you're feeling distance learning isn't that big of an issue, I'm totally fine. I think distance learning was made for me. Okay, that's totally cool and that's great. But let's see if there's something we can at least do to identify or support continued feeling that it's going to be good. It's going to be okay. And if it's not, where do I go and what do I do with things that come at me that I'm not anticipating or planning to happen? Next slide, please. Thank you. So here are physical signs of stress. I just want to identify, this can feel a little overwhelming and we may think, oh, I have allergies, I have a cold, I didn't get good sleep last night. Well, stress can also create a multitude of physical symptoms that are not easy. And if you think it's all those other things, but it's been going on for a little bit longer than a week or 2 weeks, maybe think about stress. So, do you have tension or any pain or aches in your head, your chest, or your stomach, or just in your muscles? Even if you're thinking, oh, well, I go to the gym once in a while, or I've been working out at home, that's wonderful. but also be aware when some of this pain started, because we can still trick ourselves or teach or train ourselves to go through every single day doing things, checking them off our list, but it doesn't mean that it's easy or it's comfortable or it's painless or there's no stress. It's also very hard when we have mental and emotional stress internally from the level of expectation and just natural demands that life puts on us, and the adjustment of doing remote learning, and people may be thinking, well, if you're doing remote learning, you're at home. You can do everything at home that you need to do. A lot of times it's not that easy. A lot of our classes in college, even though they're remote learning, some of them you still have to be present for that entire hour and a half to 3 hours, depending on the course. So it's not one of those classes where you can just watch anytime. You still have to be in a seat for that entire time. Some professors are going to want to see your face. They're going to want to call on you. They're going to want to interact with you. And if they feel that they can't do that, they can express a difficulty of you participating in that class. This is also something that has happened that I do know to a lot of veterans, and it's not easy because these expectations of being in class remote, there isn't a description necessarily that says, okay, please note, even though you're at home, you have to do this, this, and this. It's not as clear cut for us. Another thing is digestive issues, reproductive problems, and changes in your heart rate and your blood pressure. So once again, these might be things that you have experienced from time to time or something you've had for a while. I would encourage you to reevaluate when they started, what you think they're contributed to, and recognize how different timelines in your life have gone. When have you been enrolled in classes? When did you have midterms? When did you have finals? Were there any significant life stressors last semester than this semester? Those types of things can be connected to stress as a result of distance learning and everything else combined. Next slide, please. Okay, so you might be asking, okay, so maybe there's a chance that I do have stress on occasion, or I'm stressed out every single day. Please help. So something here are, I want to say I might have 10 here, but these are quote unquote simple everyday things that you can run to or just grab if you're sitting on your desk in class, preparing for class, working on homework, or finishing class. So chewing gum, there's actually lots of research done that shows chewing gum can help relax and ease the muscles in your body and focus sort of the attention and blood rushing to your brain to help you. So if you're a gum chewer, there is a great hope in doing that. Getting outside, even if you're outside, you can put sunscreen on, wear a hat, all of that stuff. I understand there's a lot of concerns with being in sunlight, but just getting 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight every day can decrease the symptoms that result in anxiety or depression. So even if you already feel like you have symptoms of anxiety and depression, I understand the difficulty in that, but if you can get outside and just breathe fresh air, feel the sun on your skin, layer up. If you would like to get really dangerous and you want to go for a hike, or if you have a dog and you want to walk the dog, try to do that at least a couple times a week. I know it's easier said than done, but if it's possible to create some sort of schedule like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right after my AM class, I'm going to go take the dog. We're going to go outside for 15 minutes. I'm going to listen to my favorite album, and then I'm going to come back in and do my homework. Just create sort of routines that way for yourself. It doesn't have to be necessarily groundbreaking. We like to think it is, but that's the surprise of it, because stress actually starts from something seemingly small and simple. It's a culmination of having too many things on your to-do list. It's not having enough time in the day. It's trying to meet the needs and demands of relationships, goals that you have for yourself now that you're trying to get a job or a career, or take a break from what the last 5 or 10 years has been for you, and see if there's something that you can learn in a class that might give you a sense of guidance or hope. So even though it starts small, we have to fix it or work with fixing the severity of our symptoms or pain with things that seem small. There's another one here that says smell lavender. It doesn't have to be lavender, but a lot of times if you're a person that has good senses, meaning you, like for your hearing sense, you love listening to music. It doesn't matter what music it is. It doesn't matter what album it is, or maybe it's a podcast. Listen to that. If you're a person who loves smells, like barbecuing food or cooking something in the kitchen, or you like the smell of candles, or maybe when you are outside hiking, you like the smell of eucalyptus, like certain trees or fresh cut grass, or if you're someone who likes working with, like wood and putting things together when you're in a garage, you like the smell of fresh cut wood. Finding certain scents and smells that connect something calming, enjoyable, or relaxing for you specifically is something I highly recommend. So that way, if you're in class and you're feeling overwhelmed or frustrated or stressed by all of the other things you have to do after you get out of class, just kind of smell that. You can also go online. You can Google, like on Amazon.com, like different like oils, and they'll have all of these scents, like sandalwood for wood cutting, eucalyptus for being trees and hiking, lemon if you like things that are citrusy, or you have a difficulty sometimes with nausea or headaches as a result of your stress or other symptoms going on. Lemon and lime and orange can actually help reduce your headache pain and help you with feeling a little bit better in nausea and balance. You may be wondering how I know all these things, but I also like to practice and try all these things out for myself before I tell a client in session, hey, maybe you should try this, because we all have different things we connect with. And so I think it's important to recognize there's not one shoe that fits all, for lack of a better term, but that's what it is finding out for you what your 1 or 3 or 5 things are that help you get through the day and the week. And it's okay if someone recommends something and it doesn't work. It doesn't mean there isn't something that's going to help you. It just means it wasn't that. So we have to keep looking. If we could go to the next slide, please. Okay, so how can I support my mental health? Because recognizing our mental health, which is related to our physical health and our emotional and our relational health, is all connected to stress. It's sort of like this web that can either go really well, because if one area is going great, it can sometimes help our outlook and our mood for the other areas. But if there's a section or more than one section in our life in that web that isn't going well, it can make everything else kind of drop. So it's important to recognize the different areas. So we have workplace and professional setting. And I want to acknowledge that if you are thinking to yourself right now, well, I'm not working right now. I don't have a job. I'm going to school full time. Going to school full time is a job in itself, and it is an extremely demanding and difficult job because it's not a set contract that says, hey, you're in class for these many hours. Studying, you only have to clock in and clock out at this time. You're not going to have to do any overnights. You're not going to have to do extra work, because we don't know how difficult certain subjects are, how much we're going to study or not study. Is it a group project where I have to try to coordinate with my classmates to get on a Zoom meeting, or do I have to go somewhere? So being in school is its own job, and it's very demanding and requires a lot of emotional, relational, and time sacrifice, and it's not always acknowledged. So I do want to make sure that if you're feeling like I'm not doing enough just because I'm in school or I'm only taking a couple classes, you are doing more than enough. But hang in there, because you have a dream or a goal set and you will achieve it. And comparing it to certain things isn't going to help you. It's just going to discourage you and distract you. So recognizing that one area, we also have physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual, and relationships. I hope I'm not overwhelming anyone anymore by all these things I'm acknowledging that we have to deal with day in and day out, but also acknowledging it's not going to be 100% in every category every single day. It's a give and a take. And some days we wake up feeling great, and some days we wake up feeling, I don't want to do today. And that's okay. We just have to find certain steps and things that we do get to in that day. Did you get out of bed and have a meal? Did you brush your teeth? Did you attend your classes? Did you take your daughter to school? Like, those things are accomplishments. And if you can shift perspective to acknowledge those things, not so much the things you didn't do or didn't get to, but the things you did in spite of the difficulty, the stress, the frustration, the overwhelming amount of time lessening on the clock, that will help you long term. On the right here, I just have a couple other suggestions. Turning off your email or your phone that you use for a lot of things while you're in class. If you're able to do like do not disturb on your cell phone for that hour and a half or 3 hours you're in class, try to do that. Or notify the people like your significant other or your children who might want to reach out to you during those hours. Just send a quick text right before class starts. Hey, I'm going into class. I'm turning my phone upside down. If I don't respond, this is why. Sometimes that might also give you peace of mind to say, okay, everything can wait. Like, it'll be all right. Also make time for relaxation. That can sort of be incorporated into you sitting outside for 10 to 15 minutes, you going on a walk, listening to your favorite album on your headphones. Something like that can sort of be what we might call a twofer. And then as much as you can, depending on what type of things you're experiencing, even if it is social anxiety or difficulties getting out of the house, how can you try to incorporate family and friends in a way that is comfortable for you over time? Is it texting them because you haven't talked to them in months or you haven't seen them in a year or over a year? Start texting. You know, you respond when you can. Let's go to the next slide, please. So how am I supposed to take care of myself and relationships now? So one of the hardest things is prioritizing your closest relationships. Who are the people that matter most to you? Is it your significant other? Is it your parents? Is it your children? Is it your best friend? Is it a coworker? Is it a classmate? Is it a fellow brother or sister from the military? Like, who are those people? If you can write a list down of those people, I would try to say stick between 5 and 7 of like your top people. I don't say that to cut anyone out or lessen, but to recognize you can have priority in people. The people that you need right now, that are comfortable for you, that are safe for you, focus on those, and then slowly take your time reaching out to other people as time goes on. Let's see. Have open communications about those closest to you so you can let them know if you appear distant physically or emotionally. So that was the example that I shared just in a text message to, you know, a child or a significant other or coworker, friend. hey, just want to let you know, like, I'm going into class right now. Hey, I have a meeting. Hey, I'm actually going to be doing something for the next hour. If I don't respond, I will get back to you as soon as I can. I know some people will say, hey, I'm having a rough week. I'll talk to you next week. I'll text you back next week. You don't have to let anyone know what's going on, but if you do let people know that you're okay, it's also a way of being transparent and open. And it also allows people to recognize that there's a level of trust and care that you're expressing, rather than the negative perception that you could be ignoring them, and then you feeling guilty or bad for ignoring them, even though you realize you're not doing it on purpose. You just can't. There's a lot going on mentally and emotionally, and you're just trying to survive the day. So when you can find a way that you can communicate to those people, it's important for both of you, because it also alleviates a little bit of stress for yourself. And consider outside resources like family therapy, couples counseling, support groups. I know that individual therapy is extremely helpful, but I also know that there's sometimes times in our life where seasons can be too overwhelming, and it can feel like when I go to my therapist and talk, I'm just reminded of all the stress and pain and all the things I'm not doing in this hour that we're talking in, and I feel more frustrated. That is also natural at times. So recognizing family therapy, couples, support groups, finding certain podcasts you can listen to, reading certain books, even if it's on audio, things that are still going to help feed your soul as a person, to remind you what it is you're doing every day, what your personal mission is all that we can do. And it's different for everyone. Next slide, please. And just routine, making sure that we're always on our routine, and start small. That's really why I mentioned, as an example, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm either going to walk the dog for 15 minutes or I'm going to sit outside for 15 or 10 minutes on the porch. Those kinds of things do help. And if you can just find one or two things to make a routine of, or a schedule that's small and doesn't feel completely horrific if you missed it or you had to move it to a different day or later in the day, you just have to take it one moment at a time. Next slide, please. Okay, so when you're doing class online, or maybe you're doing a hybrid, like one class is in person and 3 or 4 are online, trying your best to wake up at the same time every day. Get ready for the day, regardless if you're leaving the house. So if you're like, okay, I don't want to find clothes for today, do you have like a go-to pair of jeans and a shirt that you can do? Do you have a way that you can, you know, put your hair in a ponytail, or can you, if you're not growing out a beard, can you shave your face in the morning or every other day? Can you brush your teeth? Can you have a cup of coffee or a glass of orange juice or milk? Like, can you make daily morning routines for yourself that to your former self, maybe it felt like, okay, I used to make my bed as soon as I got out, or I went straight to the shower, or I fed the dogs right away. Whatever those kind of routines are, to still feel like you're being productive and still having a purpose, even if it appears small, doesn't matter. Those are important for you to do, and they will create a level of commitment, but also accomplishment as you meet them. And this is probably one of the most important. If you have a workspace or a study space for class or something, try not to move around all the time. If you're on like a laptop, try to stick to one place in your house, in your apartment, in your dorm. Don't move everywhere. I know it's really tempting, but trying to separate places within your living space is crucial, because it allows you the opportunity to close the lid on something and walk away when you need to do something else. Next slide, please. Okay, so the stuff on the left are websites in which I got a lot of information on, specifically in the beginning, of different things that have changed since the pandemic in 2020 started here in the United States. And I have our organization's website, usvetsinc.org. And then right below it is usvetsoutsidethewire.org. There also, all of these were put in the chat earlier. And so these are things you can just look up for additional resources, whether you're looking for support groups, or maybe you're going, this is great, but maybe I want help with career development, or I want a women's support group or something different. These websites that we have with our organization will get you to those things. So I just want to make sure that those are out there. And then there's also phone numbers here on the right with education benefits, VA debt management, our LA County US Vets phone number, and our Orange County US Vets number, depending on if you live in either of these counties or in the state of California. I think this might be the last slide, but awesome. Thank you so much.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Nicole. We really do appreciate that information. It's always a treat when US Vets Outside the Wire presents for us. Lots of useful information for those of you who are attending classes right now, and also for those of you who aren't attending classes who are just working from home. You can definitely use that information to your advantage. But now I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Charles Green. And Charles Green is the Chief of Outreach for the VA healthcare system. And please, if I get that title wrong, please correct me, Charles. But he's going to basically explain the VA healthcare system to you and ways to get involved with it. So when you're ready, go ahead, Charles. Charles, are you still able to unmute yourself? There you go.
Now I am, sorry.
It's all good. Go ahead, Charles, whenever you're ready.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Charles Green. As Michael has said, I'm the Chief of Outreach for Hospital System, and I'm also the acting site manager for the Sepulveda Ambulatory Clinic. This morning, next slide. This morning, I'm going to give an overview of the VHA healthcare program. But on this slide right here, I just wanted you to know about the Department of Veterans Affairs. And I also like to say that I am a federal employee and I do represent VHA. So the VA is made up of three components. It's the VBA, that's the part that takes care of basically all your benefits, compensation, education, home loan. The next part is VHA Health Administration. That's the part that I'm going to be talking about this morning. And the final component will be the National Cemetery Administration, which deals with all of the burial benefits. Next slide. So in order to be qualified for healthcare, I'm just going to summarize the slide. Basically, you have to have 2 years of active duty and get your discharge to be other than dishonorable. And if you're a reservist, you have to be ordered by the President of the United States or federal orders. And when you come back, you're eligible for health care. So if you're a reservist and you get deployed for 4 months and it's a federal deployment and you come back, you're eligible to use health care. Next slide. So once we determine your eligibility from your DD-214 to find out if you're eligible, next thing we do is we sign you to a priority group. There's 8 priority groups, and I'm going to talk about the 6 important priority groups because 7 and 8 are sort of like suspended at this time. We're not taking anyone in 7 and 8. So I'm just going to kind of highlight the priority groups. So if you get assigned to priority group number 1, that's basically for veterans who are service connected and got a VA disability rating of 50% or greater. If you're in this priority group, basically you get free health care for your service-connected and non-service connected disabilities. Next slide. Priority group 2 is for veterans who are 30% and 40% service-connected. Priority group 3, as you can see, these veterans are in these categories. And the main thing I like to say is veterans with 10% or 20% service connection. Next slide. If veterans are in priority group 4, they're basically veterans who need aid attendance or have some type of catastrophic disabilities the VA determined. And priority group 5 would be for veterans receiving a VA compensation pension and a 0% rating. Next slide. This is a key group that I want to talk about. This I think is pretty important. So if you're an OIF, OEF, OND veteran, after your 5-year window has expired, which I'm going to talk about, you'll be assigned to priority group 6. Some important things about priority group 6 is that if for our Vietnam veterans, right, if they served in Vietnam from 1962 to 1975, and they're not service connected, they could always get into this priority group. Always, service connected or not service connected, they could always get into this priority group. Veterans who were at Camp Lejeune, like myself, I did 3 years in the Marine Corps and 23 years in the Army. I'm active duty, but I was served at Camp Lejeune during this time from, I was served there in the 70s, but from 57 to 87, if you were at Camp Lejeune, they had a problem with the water contamination, then you will be assigned to this priority group. So these right here are the key 6 priority groups that you'll be assigned to. Next slide. So once you assign to a priority group, then you're assigned to a patient care alignment team, which is called a PAC team. And the PAC team is made up of a provider, a nurse, a care manager, a clinical associate, and administrative clerk. Once you're on this team, they will take care of all of your healthcare needs while you're in the VA. So for example, if you need to use MyHealthyVet to make a phone call or email to your provider, you know, the caregiver, your nurse who's right there on that team, they would help you out. If you need to get referrals or any type of work or any kind of treatments in the community, the social worker's there to guide you. If you need to get scheduling for appointments, the clerk is there. So the PAC team will be there to make sure they take care of all your healthcare needs for you. Next slide. So as I was saying before, if you're OIF, OEF, OND, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, and Operation New Dawn, you got 5 years of free healthcare for the disabilities that occur in the theater of operation. So the VA is giving you 5 years to get into the VA, you know, to become service connected, to go through the process and take care of you. After that 5 years expired in your system, then you'll be moved to priority group 6. Next slide. So for dental, when you leave active duty, you have 180 days after being separated to get a one-time dental checkup. Normally, they look at your DD-214, and if it doesn't indicate that you have not been provided dental within the 90 days of being released, you get a one-time checkup. But normally for dental, you have to have dental trauma, or you have to be 100% service connected, or a prisoner of war, or receiving voc rehab to get dental treatment with the VA. Also, the VA has dental insurance through Delta Dental and MetLife that you can apply for dental at a low rate. And everything that I'm telling you, giving you information today is also at www.va.gov. All this information is on there. Next slide. So medical benefit plan. So once you get into the healthcare system, you can get substance abuse, PTSD, MST, military sexual trauma, TBI. preventive services, inpatient, outpatient treatment, prescription, women's program. Next slide. You could also get mental health services, homeless services, transplant services, all different types of specialty cares that are available to you. Next slide. We do have a comprehensive women's program that's really state of the art. Basically, as you know, in the military, men and women, we serve together. However, in the VA, we have dedicated programs for our women veterans, our female veterans who they have their own privacy and intimacy where they can share and feel confident to share all of their healthcare needs. We have hormonal replacement, breast and GI care, maternity, other type of important care that are dealing with our female veterans. And again, it's through confidentiality and it's there to provide privacy for our female veterans. Next slide. So as we talked about in those priority groups, and I'm going to use priority group number 2, it says that if you're 30% or 40% service connected, you can be in priority group 2. Everything that you're service connected for is free, regardless of what priority group you're in. However, if you're in a priority group besides priority group 1 and your disability is not covered, then you could be subject to a copay. And the copay could be like for flu, colds, automobile accident, anything that's not related to your service connection. But as I said in the beginning, if you're in a priority group 1, you can be seen for service connected and non-service connected disabilities if you're 50% service connected and greater. Next slide. So co-payments. So if you do have to have a co-payment, anything that you're not service connected for, it'd be $15. And if you have to go off for specialty care, which is like audiology, optometry, cardiology, any type of specialty care, then it's a $50 copay. So those are things we have to do. So also when we do eligibility, we also go by your income. And if your income is under a certain amount of money, like say, for example, hypothetically, you live in Ventura County and your income there is $40,000. If you're under the threshold and you're not service connected, you still can get in the VA healthcare system without paying any copays. But if you're service connected and say you're only 20% service connected and you're in the VA for the disabilities, anything you're not related to your service connection, you have to pay a copay for. So that's how that will work. Next slide. So those are the key elements that you should know about for joining into the VA healthcare system. Now I want to talk to you about a very, very important program that's going to apply for all, everyone on this call and all the veterans that you know, and you might want to pass the information out. And that's the Mission Act. In June 6, 2019, the president signed a law. In 2018, the VA had a year to implement it. So in June of 2019, the VA rolled out the Mission Act. So what the Mission Act did, it continued to provide you with excellent healthcare experiences. It delivered right care at the right time, at the right place. It continues to offer care through telehealth in your home, in a VA facility, or in the community, and it provided more healthcare options for care in the community and urgent care, which we're going to talk about. Next slide. So eligibility for care in the community. You only have to meet one of these criteria. And the first one was the specific care you need is not provided by the VA at any medical facility. So say like if you have a certain kind of cancer treatment, and because of the cancer treatment, the VA can't take care of it, say like UCLA would be a better fit, then you would have to opt in with your provider and say, yes, we think it's in the best interest. So you would have to agree with your provider to receive care like at UCLA. Next, if you reside in a US state that doesn't have a full VA medical facility, you can see the states listed up there, then you can also go out care in the community. Also, people who are in the choice program, who reside at 40 miles eligibility criteria are also grandfathered into the Mission Act. And say the VA is not meeting a specific service line requirement, then and we not meeting standards, then you could also go out for care in the community. Next slide. Also, if you refer, if you and your provider, clinical provider decide it's in the best interest that you receive care out in the community, then you can go out. And finally, if the VA has designated, as I said, a medical service line with specific care and not providing that care that complies with VA standards, you can go out on a Mission Act. So all you have to do is meet one of those requirements to be able to go out to use the Mission Act. So the main thing with the Mission Act, you're going to sit down with your provider, and number one, your provider, when he talks to you, they're going to launch a decision support tool to find out, for example, if the VA cannot see you, for example, say you have to have your eyes checked, and say we're like 6 months of backlog, then the VA is going to ask you, the provider is going to ask you, would you like to go out and care in the community? And if you say yes, then the provider is going to launch what they call a decision support tool. And at that time, they're going to look at some of the opportunities out there, and some providers that could be listed. And if you say yes, you'd like to go out, then they're going to send a referral to care in the community. And then care in the community is going to contact you to give you a referral to go out into the community to take care for, say, that eye treatment. So once you go out, it's one-stop shop. You get the referral, it goes through the service that's providing the benefit to you, and then the bill is paid, all one-stop shop. So you don't have to worry about anything. Next slide. Also, with the Mission Act, also is urgent care. Urgent care is very, very important. The way urgent care works is if something is urgent and the VA healthcare facility is closed after hours or not open on Saturday, Sundays, you can go off urgent care. Urgent care is not emergency care. Some of the key things about urgent care is that, number one, you have to be seen in the VA during the previous 24 months. That's very, very important. Number two, you would have to go into the VA website, as you see here on this slide for the Mission Act. You have to find an in-care provider that's in TRICARE in a network to go out and use that provider in the network to get care in the community. If you don't go out in the network, then you'll be charged out of your pocket. So you have to pick a provider in a network. And again, at www.va.gov, it lists all the providers if you go under the Mission Act. One thing this slide is not talking about, if you're in priority group 1 through 5, then your first 3 treatments going out in the community are free, and your fourth your first 3 visits are free. Your fourth visit would be a $30 copay. If you're in priority group 5 and 6, your first 3 visits are free, and then you have to pay a $30 copay after your 4th visit. And again, all this information is at www.va.gov. Next slide. So how do you get enrolled into healthcare? There's easy. You can go online to www.va.gov. You can go to a local VA medical facility. You fill out a 1010 EZ. You fill it out, bring a copy of your DD-14, and then they'll see if you're eligible to get you enrolled into the healthcare system. Next slide. These are just some of the things that VA is doing for modernizations. We're working with DOD. Right now in VA, they have a partnership to come up with electronic medical record. So some people who might just separate from active duty, we're still testing it out, that we're taking your service record from active duty and it's going to go to the VA. So once you get out, the VA would have connection with your service, your health record, and they can look at everything, you know, and then match. So it'll be, each system will know how to get into, to review each service member's medical record. Also, we have a new telehealth app where you go anywhere and get your telehealth appointments. Also, we have an appointment app to make appointments. We also have MyHealthyVet. And also, I put this up here about COVID vaccinations, just to let you know that the VA right now, we are offering COVID vaccinations at, you know, at the Oxford Clinic. We're offering Pfizer. We're offering the first and second shot. And we're also offering 6 months for your second shot. Now you can get the booster shot. So if you're interested in getting the shot, you can call 310-268-4900 to make an appointment. I say it again, 310-268-4900 if you're interested in making a COVID vaccination shot. Next slide. Also, suicide prevention. If you have any concerns about suicide prevention, please feel free to call this number right here, 1-800-273-8255 to get help or to recommend it to another fellow veteran that might be in need. Next slide. Vet centers. Also, I'm going to talk also about under VHA, the vet centers fall under VHA, Veterans Health Administration. The vet centers basically provide readjustment counseling. They're there to provide counseling for combat veterans. Next slide. In 1979, the vet centers were established because Vietnam veterans didn't feel comfortable to come into the VA medical facility. So they came up with the concept for vet centers to offer them counseling for them and their dependents to be separated from the VA healthcare system so they can go in confidentiality to feel more. So the vet center basically is there for to help with combat veterans. Next slide. It's a welcome home environment. It's relaxing, not bureaucratic. There's no wait list. It's community based. In Ventura County, you have a vet center. It's confidential. It's tailored for the service programs. And one thing important about the vet center, it can take care of the veteran and the spouse. Compared to on the VA Medical Center, we really just concentrate on the veteran unless the veteran is 100% service connected and they're qualified for CHAMP VA. Next slide. So these are some of the service that the vet center offers. One thing for military sexual trauma is very important. Bereavement counseling, marital counseling, drug and alcohol, and you can get counseling, as I said, for the veteran and the service member also can get the counseling. Next slide. The vet center, safe place to talk, flexible hours. I would say that probably closer to 90% of the vet center staff are combat veterans, especially OIF, OEF, OND, and all family members are welcome and there's no cost associated with it. Next slide. Next slide. So basically, I just sort of overviewed the important key elements of the VHA healthcare. Again, for more information for VHA healthcare, you can go to www.va.gov, and all the information is listed on the website. Or you can feel free to reach out to me. My number will be coming up pretty soon, and I'm turning it back over to the facilitator for question and answers.
All right, cool. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate that. Appreciate that information on the VA healthcare system too. So if you're able to take advantage of the VA healthcare system, definitely take it. It's there for you. So this is the contact information for all speakers. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jana Adams to see if there were any questions that we can answer. First of all, I wanted to thank you all for sticking around past 12. There was a lot of information that we wanted to fit into the 2 hours, and we got through it. And so let's see what kind of questions we have, and from there we could wrap it up. So go ahead, Jana, when you're ready.
Well, thank you, Michael. However, we don't have any questions. So if anybody does have any questions, please feel free to put them either in the chat or you can put them in the Q&A as well. And I can, if you want to keep going,
There is
I
a
can.
question. Excuse me, there's a question in the chat. It says, just curious, can you go to a nearby military base for healthcare?
Oh, I missed that one.
That's okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So,
Oh, go ahead, Charles.
yeah, so I'd like to say it depends on the space available at the military base. But basically, the healthcare is basically for retirees. For the VA is basically set up for veterans, you know, people who are not retired, and people who are going on a base are basically retirees or dependents of retirees if they have space available. But the VA, most veterans will be coming to the VA for healthcare.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, how about we do this while we wait for if there are any other questions out there. What you guys could either use this contact information in front of you right now to reach out, or feel free to put it in the chat. I'm going to move on to the next slide just so that we, for the sake of time. I just wanted to bring your attention to some upcoming webinars that we have for the month of October. As you can see, some of these are with different colleges. We just want to let you know that you do not have to be a student at those colleges to attend these webinars. You can simply just go to our Eventbrite page and register there. And you'll get the Zoom meeting information with your confirmation email. On top of the upcoming webinars, I did want to mention too that you did receive a post-webinar survey in your email, and I believe Jana did put the link in the chat. If you want, feel free to take some time to let us know how today went, what we could do better for next time. If there's any topics that you'd want to hear about in the future, let us know. It's all information for our program and how to make it better for you guys in the future. And if we still have no questions.
There is another question. Let's see. I just saw it.
I think
So
it was dental. I think it's for dental
yes.
with voc rehab.
Yes, Voc Rehab. Yes, please. If you would like.
So if you're using voc rehab, then you're eligible to get dental treatment. I would recommend that you talk to your voc rehab counselor to make sure that they can make the coordination with the VA medical facility, especially with dental, to make sure you can get that kind of service. Hope that answers the question.
great. And it looks like, let's see. Yep, we got to thank you for that. So absolutely. I'm not seeing any other questions.
Well,
Yeah.
with that being said, I will end it here. We want to thank Ventura College and Jordana for allowing us to come and speak to you guys today. Thank you for hanging out with us for the 2 hours. And if you have any questions with what was talked about today, or you just want a little bit more information about what's available to you, feel free to reach out to us. That's our contact information right there. The CalTAP email address will go directly to me, Jana, or anyone else on the CalTAP team. And that 1-800 phone number will also come to me, Jana, Anthony Rodriguez, or anyone else on our team. So we're there on the other side. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
And on behalf of Ventura College and the VRC, I would like to thank all of our panelists today, Charles, Nicole, Michael, Jim, Anthony. You guys have been great. I thank you so much. I know I left somebody out, but anyway, thank you so much. It's been very informative, and I hope you all have a great day.
Yeah, take care. For those questions that are coming in, feel free to reach out to those individuals. This is being recorded, and it will be placed on our website probably within the next week or two, along with the PowerPoint of the slides. So be on the lookout for that. All right, everybody.
All right, great. Thank you all.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.